My sister-in-law and I were best friends. Our young kids were also extremely close. A decade ago, my brother started a business and needed startup capital. I invested and became a joint owner. I honestly thought it would fail and ugly cried the day I handed him my life savings. The business is and was incredibly profitable. But over the last few years, my brother decided to cut me out. Flat out illegal and theft in some areas. Others were just cutthroat, immoral. I confronted him several times. It got ugly. We had a big blow-up over it. There were other emotional twists than knife in the argument, namely some things involving mental health of our aging parents, and some things that happened when we were younger. I sold my shares to him at a loss and just got the duck out. We haven't spoken since. I asked my sister-in-law her perspective and tried to clarify her and my relationship, and she sided with her husband. In a way, as she should, but I still feel incredibly angry, betrayed, and heartbroken. There's a lot I can't understand. When the argument happened, the day sister-in-law and I were going to finalize the bookings for this dream trip I was gifting her. We had been planning it for at least 3 years, but the hotel only accepted reservations X days in advance, as they changed their rates quarterly. And honestly, I was just as excited for this as she was. But it was originally her dream. I don't want to hurt her, but I still want to go on the trip. In talking about it, I have a friend who said, "Let's do it, I'll go with you." If I went, I'd keep it off social media, but I still feel like an a-hole for going. I view sister-in-law's position as difficult, and ultimately, I do want reconciliation. I don't know when or if it's even possible. My brother isn't sorry. Would I be the a-hole? Nah, go without her, and no need to feel guilty. Sounds like your brother has enough to pay for her vacation if she wants one. Can't blame her for siding with her husband, but that doesn't mean your relationship remains the same. You are not the a-hole for wanting to go on a trip. Somewhere along the way it became your dream too, since you still want to go. If he acted illegally, do you have any recourse? Can you sue or report him to an oversight agency? In the face of illegal actions, sister-in-law should not be required to stand by her husband, just as you are not required to, even though you are siblings. If she doesn't know about the illegal activity, I would tell her. Be prepared for her to think you are driving a wedge between herself and your brother out of jealousy, so documentation that supports your claims would be helpful. If after seeing the facts, she still stands with him, then you would not be the a-hole for cutting her out of your life. But if she renounces his actions, even if she chooses to stay married to him for her own reasons, and reconciles with you, maybe all three of you can have a fun vacation. I do have recourse, but I'm not entirely sure if the juice is worth the squeeze. My brother is a recovered addict, clean 8 years, and as such has prior felonies. The amount of money missing is felony level. It'd be his third strike. Also, the money is gone. He spent it. If I won, I could go through the steps to garnish wages or put liens on things, but that would absolutely nuke the relationship with sister-in-law and nieces. I love my nieces. I met with a lawyer who said it's a tough case. I'd have to subpoena documents and hire a forensic accountant to find it all, which is time and money. So I'd have to front a lot of money to pursue it. It'd be difficult and time-consuming, no guarantee of recovery, and it would ruin any chance of reconciliation. My accountant suggested just cutting losses and walking away with whatever I could, which I did, but it hurt like hell. I did tell sister-in-law of the illegal activity over the years. She basically seemed sad, but ultimately didn't give a full response. Eventually, she set a boundary. All things business should only be discussed between brother and I. After the fight, she told me she was the one that pushed for the sale because she couldn't handle my viewpoint of it anymore. She said me meeting with a lawyer made her emotional for days and scared, that I would threaten to take away their livelihood. She and my brother believe they deserve the extra perks because what he contributes is manual labor versus what I contribute, which was startup funding and all the media, human resources, and marketing. My brother viewed me as an investor, not an owner, despite my title and social security number on everything, and basically thought I'd made enough off of him. There was no amount of me yelling, "Just please duck and Google how a business works," that would convince them otherwise. But hey, I guess I'm the only one with the business degree. There is a very selfish part of me that wants her to divorce him. I, 35 male, and my wife, 32 female, have been married for 7 years, and we have 2 kids now. My father-in-law is an older man who is somewhat stuck in his older, more male-centric worldview. Because of this, he has always treated me like the son he never had, going so far as to call me his son in front of his friends and stuff. He invites me on trips with him to go hunting, boating, and all sorts of other things. He also helped me get my current job. This has caused a lot of problems with my wife, and she calls father-in-law a misogynist and all sorts of things. While I agree with her that it is awkward, I try not to blame old people for being stuck in the past so much. Well, the other day I was helping father-in-law with something, and he brought up the fact that he was probably not going to live longer, especially with virus and stuff. Not sure why, because he is already jabbed. Well, he basically told me he always wanted a man he could trust to leave his money to and take care of the family, and that I would be it. He showed me a copy of his will, and while heirlooms and other things were left to his daughters, the lion's share of his money was left to me, with instructions to take care of his daughters. He asked me if I would honor the terms, and I said that of course I would, and didn't really think much of it, because me and my wife share finances anyways. I don't really keep things from my wife, so I went home and told her about it, and she completely freaked out on me. She said I was feeding into his BS and that I should have declined being placed into his will. She called her sister, and now they are both freaking out about it. I have no idea what he would have done if I said don't give it to me, but I know that I don't plan to try to steal their money. I mean, my wife will own what I own anyways. I'm not really sure what to do because my wife and I never fight, but I really wish this could blow over. Am I the a-hole for letting my father-in-law leave his inheritance to me instead of his 2 daughters? Just a couple of things because it keeps coming up in comments. My wife is much better at finances than me, and she makes even more money than me. I never grew up in a stable household and didn't really learn how to manage money, but I have learned a lot from her family. I married into an upper-class family, and they have always treated me great and never brought it up. But I still try to fit in and not make waves. That's why I said I'm not trying to be confrontational about the misogyny thing, because they always get on their dad for it anyways. Are you married to your father-in-law or his daughter? You've been with your wife long enough to know that his attitude upsets her. You should never have accepted this without talking to your wife first. Yes, the a-hole. Yes, the a-hole. Not because you let him do what he wants with his money, but because it seems to me that whenever you were on these bonding trips with your father-in-law, you never seemed to challenge his misogyny and advocate for your wife and sister-in-law. Shame on you for allowing him to think he was right. It's father-in-law's money. He can do as he pleases. What happens if he decides to leave his money to charity? Then people will be saying his daughter shouldn't feel entitled to the money. Nonsense. If OP is a stand-up person, which it sounds like he is if you take into account that he told his wife when he could have said nothing, father-in-law can put his name down and he can just split the money between the sisters. It was my stepsister's idea. My mom is in prison and my stepmother believes I'm just like her, and I'm a dangerous person, and I'm up to no good. She always says there's something wrong with me and has been trying to find an excuse to have me live with my grandparents ever since she's been in my life. This is very obvious to me and my stepsister, but my dad doesn't see it. We decided that instead of me trying to convince her that I'm a good person, I've tried and failed, we can mess with her a little. She's super nosy about me and always snoops around my room and stuff. She thinks I don't know, but she's not good at it at all. So we decided to leave strange stuff for her to find. These are the things that we did. We bought a box with a lock, put fake animal bones inside, and locked it and hid the key somewhere else in my room, knowing that she will find it. We bought a fake pee powder that you add to water and it makes it look and smell like pee. I filled these up every couple of days and left them under my bed. Then one day, my stepsister and I went and buried the bottles in our garden. Then a few days later, my stepsister told my mom that she saw me go out to the garden in the middle of the night and bury something in the garden. She found the bottles. We got tiny plastic bags and filled them up with plaster to make it look like drugs. I left them between my books. We carved out an empty place in the middle of a Bible that she insisted I have in my room, even though she's not religious, like they do in the movies and prisons, and put in some of my stepsister's hair in there. She brought them back when she returned from the hairdresser. I placed the Bible so that she notices there's something wrong with it. I bought fake blood, put them into 2 tiny bottles, wrote my stepsister and my dad's name on them, and left them inside an envelope without a mailing address, but left them in my drawer for her to find, thinking I'm planning to mail these to someone. That's all. This was enough for her to bring all the evidence and present them to my dad and grandparents, dad's parents, to prove that I'm dangerous and shouldn't live there, and her daughter's in danger here with me. My sister and I couldn't hold our laughter, so we confessed that we've been messing with her all along. Grandparents found it very funny, but she didn't, and she said we humiliated her. We're both grounded indefinitely. But am I the a-hole here for messing with the person who believes I'm dangerous for no reason? Not the a-hole 100%. She deserved that. Well done. Your stepmother sounds unhinged. Justified, yes, the a-hole. Because wow, she had that coming. But she's the biggest a-hole in the situation. Then your dad, for not listening to you and your sister. Ducking hilarious. 10 out of 10. Not the a-hole. Or maybe justifiable a-hole. Your stepmother is a witch. It's not fair to assume you'll turn out bad just because your mom is in prison. Truthfully, she just wants you gone and is using this to justify it. If she was actually concerned you'd go down the wrong path, she would be doing everything she could to support you and guide you towards making better choices than your mom, not villainizing you without cause. I'm glad you at least have your stepsister on your side. My mother married my stepdad when I was 12, and they were married for 17 years. My mother is always kind and pleasant, so she got along with his side of the family. But she was always anxious about them not liking her, which made her feel like an outsider, especially since she and stepdad didn't have their own children. Stepdad had 2 other children from his first marriage. From what I know, his first wife poisoned the children against their father, so their relationship with stepdad was strained. They used to be with stepdad on weekends, but after stepdad married my mom, they hardly came to see him anymore, and I had basically no relationship with them. Since his own children weren't close to him and my own dad passed when I was very young, stepdad and I formed a close bond. Stepdad passed last year from a prolonged illness, which devastated my mom and I. We then found out that he left my mom the house they lived in, and quite another chunk of money for both of us. This enraged other children, because somehow they knew stepdad had an earlier will before his diagnosis, and which my mom didn't get the house, and other children would have gotten more. They contested the will, claiming my mom must have manipulated stepdad while he was sick to change the will. My poor mom was hesitant to fight, because she felt other children were justified in claiming more, since they were his blood kin. But other children barely paid any obligatory visits to stepdad when he was sick, while my mom took great care of him and waited on him hand and foot his last few months. So I wasn't going to let her give in to them. I did research and hired a lawyer myself to fight for us. The contest had been dragging on since last year, and other children could never prove stepdad was mentally incapacitated despite his illness. So, with the economy going south, I guess they no longer wanted to waste legal fees and dropped the contest before we even went to court. To be honest, I felt like being petty, so I recently posted a selfie with the caption, "Chilling in my house," and changed my privacy for everyone to see. I didn't expect stepdad's relatives to jump on that post and message attacking me for stealing from stepdad's real children. Not everyone said I was stealing, but they still thought my post was in bad taste. I thought these people liked me fine, but I guess with stepdad gone, I actually have no relations to them. Worst part is, my mom also feels guilty for taking the inheritance, because for her, blood relations are the most important. So it looked like it was just me fighting for my own profits, despite being only a stepchild. I'm quite frustrated by this. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. I did admit that I was being petty, but in my defense, throughout the whole process, I did not say a word on social media. Even the pic I posted was just a regular selfie of me sitting around what has indeed been my home since before it was willed to my mother on paper. I also posted it due to my relief from the legal crap, and not just gloating. On the other hand, Original Children has been posting terrible things about my mom for years, not towards me because we never really had any relationship. For example, one of them posted a bunch of IG story of herself going to her lawyer to dig out the gold digger, or other things along that line last year. Again, I know full well I was being petty, but in context, I hope I have some defense here. Not the a-hole for fighting for what's yours. If you and stepdad had a close bond, you have every right to him as your dad too. They came running back as soon as money was involved. But kinda yes the a-hole for that post. Like you said, it's petty and not in good taste. It's no different than taking the cash out and shaking it in their faces in my opinion. Not the a-hole. I can understand feeling pretty petty after watching your mom get put through the ringer. Money does weird things to people, and sadly, no, it does not sound like the people from that side of the family will have much to do with you now. Not much of a waste, in my opinion. My husband and I have been married for 1 year, and together for 3. My relationship with mother-in-law has been great, or at least I thought, until recently, where a bunch of little conflicts surfaced around the common theme that my husband was somehow treated with less attention or love as his siblings by mother-in-law. Example, mother-in-law forgetting his birthday. After a conflict between my husband and her recently, my husband told me that he had been hiding a secret from me for a year. After his dad passed away 2 years ago, his mom was withholding his portion of inheritance from his dad for a couple months because his brother told her we were having a rocky relationship and we won't make it. She withheld it to protect my husband in case of a divorce, and I will walk away with half. I just learned about the information, and I felt so blindsided for how she saw me. The inheritance is not huge, $10K. I have a high-earning job. My family had helped us with the wedding and other stuff way more than that. It's laughable to me that someone would fear me walking away with $5K. My husband and I went through ups and downs in our relationship, especially during the time when his dad passed away. We went to couples counseling and we are stronger than ever in our relationship. We also just found out we are expecting our first child. I'm mad at the brother who gossiped about our relationship to his mom. We knew a lot of dirty laundry about his family too, but we've always kept it to ourselves. I'm mad at his mom for thinking so little of me. I'm foreign and my family is far away, so I really treated her like my own mom, and my whole entire family was nothing but generous to her. Up to this moment, I thought she sees me as a daughter, but I guess not. She doesn't know that me or my husband know about the drama behind the scenes. His other sibling told him about it. Obviously, we are both hurt. Shall I keep it to myself like what my husband did? Or shall I have a conversation with her about how this is hurting me and not okay? Edit. We did get the inheritance somewhere around a year ago. I just had no idea of the drama behind it. This issue is kind of pure emotional for me, because I have never had anyone questioning my intentions and integrity like that. I'm not interested in the money. It's sitting in a dead account now. I told husband that I can write a letter saying that in the case of us splitting, he can have it all, in which he refuses. He is contemplating to confront his mom now. Update. My husband talked to the whistleblower sibling, the one he is the closest to, and told him that he told me about the secret yesterday. My husband was blamed by a sibling for making a bad decision to tell me about it, and blamed that his whole situation is all his fault because people derive information from him after we have an argument to make the judgment that we won't make it. I get it. People side with their family and become protective. But if his mother really just wanted to protect him, why didn't she just tell him about her concerns at the first place? Why did she withhold it for a couple of months until the whistleblower pointed it out? I talked to a girlfriend of mine and she told me that the best revenge is living a happy life with the husband. I'm just tired of all this stuff. I'm going to lower contact with this family for the time being. Your friend is right. Your best revenge is that despite their drama, you and your dear husband have a happy life together. Definitely continue lower contact and practice gray rocking. Should the nosy ones try to get in your business and spread drama, the best treatment for his family from now on is an information diet. The less they know, the less they can gossip about.